Okay.
Okay, so that first question was the one about the prose, like why we think that the author wrote in this way. Is that correct?
Yeah, why do we think the author chose free verse to write Billie Joe's story?
It's a heavy book.
It really
And,
is. I
and
was surprised.
it was, what grade level usually? I know one of you said that your school uses this.
I have it a 60, so it's a 6th grade
Well,
reading level, but
yeah,
I think it's deeper than that. I don't know. I feel like
absolutely.
it's very much like painting a picture. Like every verse was something that created a visual in my mind, and I thought maybe that's what they were thinking. Like they wanted something that was very visual and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And so being light on the words, but really deep in the language.
Yeah.
Right.
That is what they were
To add to that, if they wrote it a different way, it's so heavy and so intense. Too many words would maybe overwhelm a reader. I think it just, and it's how people think. You know, when you're thinking in your own head, it's not complete sentences, it's not complete thoughts. It's here and then here and then here. So you really are seeing inside this character's brain.
Yeah,
Every thought she has.
I agree with that. I think it added to just her struggle in general. I mean, the way she said things and phrased things made you feel that way, like how she was feeling. And I think that's because we would talk that way. We would, phrase our own thoughts that way.
Especially if you're stressed, especially if there's something intense going on, that's exactly how you would say it. And for somebody young, their viewpoint is going to be a little, the things you might focus on is going to be different for a 13, 14-year-old girl at this time. And I kept having to remind myself that this is not true. I kept thinking, wait, is this true? Is this based on somebody's life? And I'd go back and look on the back, and no, it's fiction, but it's just so cool.
It is. That's what I would kept thinking. Like, this reminds me of some girl's diary. Like they're just giving you snapshots of what their life looks like at any given day or time. And I don't know. It was just, it cut, like the first 50 pages really sucked me in. And now I'm like, okay, what's going to happen with her mom? What's going to happen with, what is she going to do? Is she going to get out?
Yeah, I felt that way the whole time, especially when it got into her story of playing the piano, because I think that is her out if she's going to have one. And then this kind of goes on to a different prompt question that we had put down, but like, why is her mom so against her doing that? And it's just, I don't know. She wasn't able to do that, obviously. She's a stay-at-home farm wife and mom, and she maybe resents her a little bit for getting the opportunities to go do these things. And also, I mean, as a mom, makes you worry too, because she's going to possibly lose her child to bigger and better things because, she's ready to go and wants to get out.
I think she sees that in her, how much she wants to get out. And she sees the struggle that her mom goes through every day. She sees the struggle that her dad goes through, being a farmer and not having any kind of crop in the past 3 years. And she so badly wants to play, piano. But she doesn't want to disappoint her mom because she knows her mom's not going to be supportive of it. Right.
And I think, too, the mom knows, kind of like Megan said, if she ever gets out, she's gone. Gone. That's sad. And, kind of reading about the mother, this is not her place almost. She almost seems like someone who could have gone on to do something different, but she chose to get married and stay with the dad and be a farmer's wife when she could have gone to do something
I'm interested
else.
to see if it'll touch on that at all. If I've never read this book, so I don't know if it'll touch on the mom's story at all, but I'd be interested to know more. It makes me want to know more about it. Just, my mom didn't do much with her life. I mean, she graduated high school and had kids and stayed at home, so it's like I kind of see a little bit of similarities there that, just listening to my mom talk and wishing that she could go back and do things. And it's obvious that that's what this mother possibly struggles with. So,
Right. And it's even like when she came home saying that she scored in the top of her 8th grade.
mm-hmm.
And all she said was, "Oh, I knew you could." And that was it. It wasn't like doting on her at all like the other parents did. And you don't know, at this point, I don't know, is that because she's trying to be modest about it? Like, I know that you can do so many great things. Or like, great, another way that she can escape out of here. She's being successful at school. I just can't unwrap that yet. I'm just not sure what's going to happen.
Right. I had to look at that part several times because to me, it kind of depends on how you say it. You could say, "Oh, I knew you could do it," or "I knew you could,"
Mm-hmm.
And being that she's a teenager, sometimes it doesn't matter what your mom says. In any tone, you're going to take it the way you want. She could have been saying, "Oh, I knew you could," and the daughter would say, "Oh," couldn't impress her with that either. And also, what you said about pride, at this time, people weren't boastful. Generation of people, you didn't brag about anything that you did. I mean, I had a grandmother that grew up during the Depression. She was born in 1902. So she would have been, about the mother's age. And you didn't brag about anything you did. You just got up, you worked, and then you went to bed. So that could be part of that too.
I wonder where times changed, where like it's just so strange to look at because my grandmother, I mean, she would have grown up during that time-ish too, and it's just like looking back, I mean, still to this day, she's so modest about everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we are so different. Where did it change? It makes me a little jealous that I didn't, that things just weren't ever that simple.
Yeah, I know. Like sometimes you think it was the easier, but I mean, you read something like this and obviously things were not.
Right.
Easy. And just reading about and I knew that the book was called Out of the Dust and I knew it was during the Dust Bowl, but it didn't really hit me until that part when they were setting the table and they had to set everything upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And when they were talking about the chocolate milk and the peppered gravy.
Yes.
Yeah. And putting the wet rags in the cracks, so it doesn't come in. I mean, it's just there. I watched a movie. This has been several years ago, but it reminded me of that. I don't even remember the name of it, but this mother lost her mind. I mean, she kept trying to keep the house clean, and there would be dust everywhere. And she'd go into her baby's crib, and there would be dust in there. And I just remember just a little snippet of that movie where she literally went slap nuts. I mean, because of that, and it was rough.
I just can imagine. And the dad coming in after that big dust storm came through and destroyed the harvest, the wheat that he was trying to grow, and he was coughing or blowing his nose, and it was black as mud. And I mean, I think it hit me. I was like, okay, yeah, it's bad.
Just hopeless. I mean, just absolutely hopeless. And thinking that they inadvertently caused that, with planting way too much and planting too quickly and replanting too much too soon, that it just snowballed.
Yeah, there was always loose dirt. There was always, they're trying again, and it just makes me wonder why he's so dead set on wheat. Like, the mom is saying, you know, maybe we should try this and this. And he's like, no, it's grown before, it'll grow again.
Mm.
Yeah, but I guess when that's your only, I mean, that's what you've taken pride in your whole life and being able to do. And as like the sole provider of a family, I mean, he's got to be dead set on his ways. And
if that's what his father did and his
Yeah.
father did, that's what
Yeah.
they do.
and farmers are very much that way. Just this is how it's done, and this is what I'm going to do. And
It's how it's always been.
And it always works out. I mean, I remember one part, it says it will rain. We will get some rain, because it always did. It always eventually rained. But this, it's just not going to happen this time.
Yeah, the author sprinkles in like tiny bits and pieces of like the background, a little bit about the dad was like in the war, and you know, you learn just small snippets every once in a while, and I'm just kind of anxious to see where else she takes us. Because like we said before, like the mom, I wonder if we're going to learn more about the mom. She's kind of given us a little tease about, you know, dad was in war when he was 17, and she just longs to see something growing out of. I mean, it just basically brought it back to, she just wishes, all he remembers is those poppies, and she just wished, you know, something grew out of the ground. She could imagine poppies growing out of the dust or anything, just to see him think about his, I feel like she's trying to think how happy he would be to see something growing out like he saw the poppies in France when he was at war.
Right, just to make that connection. And I think that really shows her strong feeling towards that piano, because no matter what you do, it doesn't need water. It doesn't need to be tended. The dust can't blow it away. You know, you can play the piano and it's always going to be beautiful. So I think that's why I think that was one of the discussion questions, why that piano is such a big influence on her and her mom, is it's always going to be beautiful. You know, it's not going to blow away. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. So that's their outlet. That's their poppies, I guess, or that apple tree. I remember it mentioned that apple tree, and I thought, how in the world are they keeping an apple tree alive in this?
I know, and getting fruit from it, and yeah, I feel like the piano is definitely a symbol of hope for what's the girl's name?
Billy Joe.
Billy Joe.
That's right. Because the dad wanted a boy, so he named her Billy Joe. That's right. I think for her it symbolizes a way to get out. She knows she's good at it. She knows that she has a future in it. It's just a matter of figuring out what to do with it.
These names are hilarious. They just tickle me. All these old names.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what? I know it said the name somewhere, but then it would introduce like a new character, Arlie Wanderdale.
Yeah. Mad Dog.
Yeah.
What was her friend's name that moved? I had put that question
like
in and I couldn't
Livy,
remember. Didn't it start with an L? Livie.
Would that be Livy? Maybe short for Olivia or something, or Livy.
Oh, okay. Now there it is. Losing Livy.
Livy Killian.
Well, and that question too about, she had mentioned not wondering. It said on 9, I'm wondering what kind of friend I am, wanting my feet on that road to another place instead of Livy's. I mean, she obviously wants to do something, and they moved to continue farming, it seems like, and that's not what she wants to do. It seems so, it really does seem like she wants to be on her own, like she wants to do her own thing, you know, if that means leaving her family and leaving her friends, like she wants to do her own thing. She's hungry for freedom and exposure to other things and the places.
Just to see something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at that age, well, is she about 13 or 14 now? I keep wanting to make her much older.
Yeah.
She's
or-
14, because she was talking about how her aunt and her dad are not that close. They're about 14 years apart, and when the mom has this new baby that
Yeah.
she's carrying,
I
they'll
see
see
it.
her apart.
Oh, yeah, page 5, it says, I'll be nearly 14, just like Aunt Ellis was when Daddy was born. But the way she talks and the way she thinks, it just seems like someone much older than 14. But then
Well-
again, I'm thinking of 14 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, girls got married when they were 14 and 15 during this time. I mean, they are looking at her like they're going to lose her at any time, probably.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, that's what so often happens, especially on, farms and smaller towns. And I think the mom definitely sees that that's not going to happen because that's not what Billy Joe wants. And that scares her. So she kind of keeps that inside and doesn't try to push her or encourage her to go play. Because she's wanting to get out. She enjoys it and she loves making money.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Those
I think
dimes.
if they're desperate to, make this money, the mom would have told her no.
Mhm. I think so too. They need the money, so she's kind of torn. She doesn't want to push her in the direction that she knows is going to be her way out of this world, but they need that money for their family.
It doesn't seem like the dad knows about the money either, because it mentioned that her mom puts it away. She doesn't
Hiding it.
see it. Yeah.
And she doesn't know where. Yeah, puts it away and she doesn't know where.
I don't know. I'm wondering if the mom has a plan.
Yeah.
She's not letting up on it, and she has a plan for Billy Joe. She just doesn't want her to catch wind of what it is.
Or for the family in general. I mean, she keeps talking to the dad about wanting to plant something different,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not listening. And I mean, it wasn't the book, but I read something about, I guess, like from what this time was, like 4 or 5 years later, when they start planting things on separate or opposite seasons or years or whatever.
Rotating.
Yeah.
Crop rotation, stuff like that.
And I wonder if that'll be her doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I hope, with the new baby coming, I'm sure she's got to think about that and, thinking farther down in the future, these crops aren't working. We're about to have another child and Billy Joe is probably going to be leaving. So yeah, I think she's really thinking about what's down the road, whereas the dad is kind of one day at a time kind of fella and solve this problem and let's solve the next problem and then wake up and there's a new problem.
Which I so hope that this book plays out to where the mom does have the baby, because I don't know if I can handle it if she doesn't.
No.
Obviously, she's had some problems.
And it's so early in the book. I'm concerned.
And I don't know. I wonder. It just makes me wonder if that's because of, like the way they're living. If it's because, or if it's something just with her. But
As far as trouble with the babies,
yes.
In my grandmother's, this was my great grandmother, I should have said, but it was just so common in you to lose children and for something to happen to one, and they have these really big families and sickness and things that we just don't worry about as much now. So in real life back then, I think it did happen more often, and maybe lack of prenatal care, things like that. And she's older. Well, who knows how old she is? I mean, they could have had Billy Joel pretty early. So she might only be in her late 20s, early 30s, something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Were you guys wondering, like, I'm looking at page 6 where it's talking about the rabbit battles.
What was that? Why was that included?
It was
right.
Rather. Yeah.
That Yeah, that was strange. That was just a page out of her brain, I guess, because it's not mentioned again, but evidently that's something that she thought was important.
I know. I was just wondering if you guys got any significance out of that. And maybe we'll see these characters again later, but the only thing I got out of it is that the meat went to families who were in need of food. And maybe it was just something to kind of show how bad things were for some people, that, you know, there was no food at all.
Or were their lives so small and not a whole lot going on, this was a big deal?
That's
you know?
kind of what I was thinking. Like, this is what you do. That's what you did.
This is how you keep yourself busy.
Mm-hmm.
You have rabbit wars. See who can kill the most rabbits.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
kind of a strange little tidbit.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
That's it. Yeah, that's all there is about the rabbits.
Do you have those questions in front of you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, really, we've kind of hit on a lot of them. One part was just if we had anything in common with Billy Joe as a child. Other than that, what?
I mean, I can say I've had it pretty easy compared to them as far as the childhood. You know, pretty easy. I mean, at the time you think your parents are mean and everything like that, but nothing compared to this in any way.
Yeah. I think that she strikes me as kind of a tomboy, and maybe that's just the farm life. Because it's kind of like she's the son her dad's never had.
Yeah.
Kind of how I got the feeling, but I feel like just the relationship between the parents kind of I can connect with, because I mean the dad's very set in his ways and the mom just kind of stands quiet and will speak up once in a while, but it really doesn't go past there. They kind of walk away from it before anything's solved. But yeah, there's conflict, but then there's no conflict. Like, they start talking about it, but then it's like, okay, we don't want to upset. You know, dad's he's worked all day. She doesn't want to, you know.
She bites her tongue a lot, I feel like.
Yes.
So what's our next section? How far are we going to go? It's an easy read, Autumn. You had said that.
Yeah.
It's easy to read.
I didn't realize it was going to, like, the first 50 pages just totally flew by.
Just flew by. I mean, I was waiting for T-ball practice to start, and I got finished with it.
Well, the next section is summer. So
how long is that section?
It's to page 84.
Do you want to, I mean,
we could do summer and autumn. We could do both of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
seem
fine.
like autumn is very long at all.
Yeah, autumn just goes to page 95.
Yeah.
So we could read 55 to 95.
Sounds good to me. I think didn't it say something about two, how many meetings did we need to have?
Just two.
Oh, okay.
And then I have to read the rest of the book after that.
Well, are you sure it just said 2? I thought it said more than 2.
More than 2, or at least 2. I think 2 is the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we read for the next time just that summer to 90, what is that? What did you say, Denise? 95? And then
95.
And then we'll meet one more time after that for the rest of it. That's a lot of pages for the rest of it. But
yeah. Or we could, let's see when the
Because
next
we
one.
could do
You want
I
to
mean, it sounds like a lot, but like to 149.
You know, if we met again in a week,
yeah.
we could definitely do from summer
I mean, I read 50 pages in
1934.
like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's an easy read. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so to 149.
Okay.
That does seem like a lot, but it's just, it's nothing. It's like reading somebody's thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
49.
for sure. Okay, awesome.
Okay, I hope things start looking up.
I know it.
I just
I don't-
accidentally flipped to a page. Oh. That's
Don't
not good. Okay.
All right, we'll get together on email or something and decide a day.
Okay. Or we can try again for just Monday at 8:30 if y'all want to, and because that works for me.
Yeah, but
Autumn, are those discussion questions just from what you had sent from that?
Megan put down.
yeah, some of them were from that discussion guide, and then I added just a few other ones or reworded them. So
Okay.
Perfect. All
All
right.
right, and he went on to sleep. That was lovely.
Oh, bonus.
That was fun talking to grown-ups.
I know it. About a book.
Yeah.
have you guys here? I'm gonna stop the recording. Hold on.